Welcome to Listpedia. It's time to count down the 10 craziest sports from around the world. Number 10. Extreme ironing. Who says you can't iron clothes with style? This sport takes the household chore of ironing clothes and combines it with the adrenaline-pumping extreme locations. There is no trick or special rules to this sport. People just take their ironing equipment, some clothes, and head for the most extreme locations to do their chores. Some of the most extreme examples are ironing while skydiving, while rappelling down a cliff, while parasailing, and even underwater. This sport is only limited by people's imagination and perhaps the length of their extension cords. Number 9. Bed racing. If you are wondering if there's a sport specifically made for your lazy bones, you only need to go to Knaresborough in England. This town in North Yorkshire hosts an annual event called bed racing. No, it doesn't actually involve beds magically growing feet and joining a race. The sporting event consists of 4 to 6 people who will be running and 1 passenger who will lazily lie down on the bed. The passenger is not allowed to be switched during the race. Anyone claiming to have tired legs should just suck it up. The race is just one half of the sport. All participants plus the bed must be decorated according to the theme of the year. So it's part race and part fashion show. Number 8. Bog Snorkeling. Snorkeling is usually associated with colorful coral reefs and beautiful marine life. Somebody should send a memo to the people of Wales. They clearly have different ideas. Bog snorkeling is a sport in Wales where participants equip themselves with a snorkel and flippers and swim through a peat bog. Whoever finishes in the shortest time wins the event. There is a slight catch, however. Despite swimming through a peat bog, participants must only use their flippers. None of those fancy swimming strokes like butterfly. So, it's pure feet power alone. You know, the way nature intended, I guess. Number 7. WifeCarrying. WifeCarrying is a sport in Finland where a man carries a woman through an obstacle course. It's not strictly limited to a husband and wife. As weird as this may sound, a man can borrow his neighbor's wife or anybody else as long as they're over 17 years old. The competition consists of both land and water courses like climbing over fences, going through chest-deep pools, and traveling over small dirt hills. And the prize? The weight of the female converted into beer. If there was ever a reason for husbands to encourage their wives to gain weight, it's this sport. Number 6. Ultimate Taser Ball. Rugby and American football are criticized for being violent, but the players and fans will be quick to tell you the violence is not the purpose. The same thing can't be said, however, for Ultimate Taser Ball. This extreme sport plays out similarly to those two popular physical sports. The two competing teams outscore each other by carrying a large ball to their respective goals. But instead of using tackles and takedowns to get the ball from the opponents, players use stun guns or tasers. Yep, those weapons the police carry. They're set to a, quote, safe configuration, so players don't actually drop like rocks when tased. Number 5. Cockroach Racing. Cockroaches are one of the most disgusting creatures on the face of the earth, perhaps in the entire universe. They can make a full-grown man scream like a little girl, especially if they're flying. Apparently, some people see these little critters as horses. Cockroach Racing is an annual event in Australia where people gather to see the fastest cockroaches in the land. They can either bring their own cockroaches or buy one at the venue. The race takes place in a ring, with the middle as the starting point. Cockroaches are released from their containers, and the first to the edge of the ring wins. The sport started when 2 people at a bar were arguing which of their areas had the fastest cockroaches, and the only way to prove their claim was to race them. Number 4. Chess boxing. Brains or brawn? one of those eternal debates that people love to get into. Thankfully, there's a sport where people can actually settle the debate. Introducing chess boxing. The sport is composed of 11 3-minute rounds alternating between chess and boxing. The players can either win by a checkmate or a knockout. Players can't just focus on one area, however. They can be disqualified if they are purposely not doing anything in a specific round. Players are tested first if they have strong skills in both sports before being allowed to compete. So boxers who just want to beat up a couple of chess nerds for easy money won't be able to compete unless they have good chess skills as well. Number 3. Who's Kashi? Here's a sport that will probably make PETA, the people for the ethical treatment of animals, go a little crazy. Or puke. Buzkashi is the national sport of Afghanistan. The sport involves two opposing teams on horseback whose goal is to carry a dead goat or calf's body towards the goal. A dead goat's body. If you have a low tolerance for anything that shows blood, you're going to want to skip this one. The game goes on for 90 minutes, 45 in each half, similar to football. But traditionally, the game could go on for several days. The sport is so popular in the country that top-performing players even get sponsorships from wealthy Afghans. 2. Underwater ice hockey. If you think underwater polo and underwater hockey were unusual sports, then you probably haven't heard of underwater ice hockey. This hockey variation is played in frozen lakes and ponds, but players make use of the underside of the frozen surface as their playing field. It's basically ice hockey, but upside down. And that is not the crazy part. The participants usually don't use a breathing apparatus while underwater. Instead, they must resurface when they need to get some air. But just recently, players have started using scuba tanks in order to last longer underwater. And our number 1 crazy sport, brace yourself, cheese rolling. Everybody loves cheese, and some people would even risk breaking their ankles just to get a piece of it. Cheese rolling is a sport in a village called Brockworth in Gloucester, England. It starts with a double Gloucester cheese rolled down from the top of a hill called Cooper's Hill, and the participants must chase after it down the hill. The first one to the bottom wins the cheese. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, not so much. The hill is actually so steep, combined with the cheese's rolling speed, that a lot of people get injured during the mad dash. In fact, paramedics are always on standby during the event. If somebody's questioning your love for cheese, then by all means, join this sport.